So, Will, thank you so much for being here with us today. You were one of our 2012 finalists of National Council auditions, and we have been
Mhm.
so proud to call you one of our MONC Legacy alums since then. And
Oh,
that was actually my first concert. That was the first year I started working with National Council.
oh, wow,
So
wow,
you guys
wow.
always have like a kind of an extra special place in my heart because it's,
Mm,
we started off
yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
I'm sure you've had your share of cancellations this year, as so many artists have, but you have such a huge calendar of exciting projects
Mm,
coming up in the next year, couple of years that have been announced. Let's
mm,
start with our very exciting Met project, Fire Shut Up in My Bones, which is set to
yeah,
reopen the Met in September of
mhm,
2021. Tell me about
yeah.
that phone call. What was that like?
It just smacked me out of the blue. I mean, like it just I got a call from Alex and my manager, and he was saying, I couldn't tell anything, but they want you to audition and sing the aria from Fire Shut My Bones, the baritone aria, and I didn't know anything about the score. It all just happened so fast. Like I got the score. I went and recorded the aria that they wanted over at Piano Forte Studios because I wanted to present something. I didn't want to record anything at home. I wanted to give my best impression and get like a legit a recording done. I did that, and then they got it back within like 2 days. I sent it off to Alex, and he sent it to them, and then the next thing I know, I'm being offered the role, and it was just a complete whirlwind. And then there's an announcement, and it all just happened so fast. That's what you've been telling people. Like it it came out of nowhere. And I'm really thankful and looking forward to the opportunity. It was definitely a spot of hope and just excitement to think about the future. And um we have all these cancellations happening right now, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. And it's yeah, and for it to open the season and potentially being the first thing that the Met will do since the pandemic is special. And having the first Black composer, all these things are really special. So yeah.
It's amazing. And I mean, you're
Yeah.
you're no stranger to new music. I mean, you certainly
Mhm.
have a strong foothold in the classic
Mhm.
opera repertoire. But
Mhm.
um, but what is it like to create a character that's based on a living person? I mean, in this case, it's Charles Blow, New York
Mhm.
Times columnist and author of the
Mhm.
memoir. So, what is that
Mhm.
process? Because I'm sure you're starting to put this together, or have been starting
Yeah.
in the past few months. What's that like?
It's the cool thing about learning something completely new that no one it's just that no one has any context or any ideas of what something sounds like or preconceived, like, well, this is my favorite recording of that. And being able to approach something, because I remember I'm recalling a Yardbird that I did. That was my very first contemporary piece, and I got to create a brand new role. And you just have, I don't know, a freedom to just try out things, and to work with a living composer too is so huge. To be able to make changes, and if something doesn't fit right, you're able to work out things with the composer, and make it, because they want you to succeed in that way. um and it really is a special thing, bringing together a new piece, and how it develops, how everyone comes together to put this a brand new piece on its feet. And yeah, it's just to be able to do a lot of character study, and sitting down doing my research, just so I can gather as much as I can, going scene by scene, and trying to do and I like to take music away and focus on the text,
Hmm.
um, and kind of treat it like a dialogue or a monologue, because that's very important when you're studying and doing your own research, and just trying to bring the character to life as best and as truthfully as you can. Yeah, so
It's a lot to dig in with that
yeah,
memoir. It's incredible
yeah,
source
right.
material. And
Yeah,
then the other roles that you're supposed to sing next season are you're back for Akhenaten again, and then Papageno and Magic
Woo.
Flute.
Yeah, right. Another flute Akhenaten, yeah, combo. It's I was so thankful to have got a chance to have done those roles before the pandemic, because that was like right just, I'd Akhenaten was, yeah, November, October, and then the flute was December, January, and then, yeah, pandemic was in March. So I was so thankful to have the opportunity to perform those roles at the Met. And Akhenaten was just such a special show. I mean, I've never seen the phenomenon of that, just people lining up out the doors trying to get in to see this opera and this experience. And, it was such a cool thing to be a part of. I really had a great time, and of course, doing Magic Flute, that was like a dream come true for me, to be able to sing a lead role
Hmm.
at the Met. And speaking of coming like full circle, I did the Papageno Suicide aria for my MONC finals.
Love it.
They gave me the pan flute and everything, and put it over my tux, and just, oh gosh, yeah. So it felt like a full circle thing to be able to do a few performances of the Tamer production. So
That's really
yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
In addition to being a phenomenal baritone, you also are a creator in your own right. And I was
Oh,
so excited to read about this commission that you're involved in with Lyric Opera of Chicago, where you had been
mm,
in their Ryan Center Young Artist program.
yeah.
Tell us about it. Tell us about the factotum.
Oh gosh, I'll try and keep it short because it's it's a long. Um, you know, so I've always had a passion for. I mean, piano was my first passion, and I love arranging and composing. But it's always something I would do on the side, because obviously, I'm performing a lot, and I when I have free time, I like to like dabble and compose. And how Factotum came to be was I was doing a lot of Figaro's at the time, and a lot of Barber Sevilles that I would have, like, I think like 2015 and 16. I had like 4 or 5 in a row. And I would always have to go to the black barber shop in town, wherever I was going, and to get my hair cut or whatever. And I was just sitting there one day, and the idea sort of came to me, is like, wow, it'd be really cool to sort of set like Barber Seville, update it and put it in a black barber shop. Because the black barber shop is just such a, for me growing up, it's more than a haircut. It's like a whole experience. It's like community coming together. It's almost also like a sitcom. You could just put a video recorder in some of these barbershops and have a whole show, like, with all the
Yep.
folks that come in and out, the people that just stick around, like the conversations that are had. So I was like, of course, this should be, some sort of opera, that would, it could be a very interesting thing to sort of take characters from Barber Seville and update them and put them in the setting. And so that's what I did. I started working on the music kind of, um, like 2018, 2019, with my collaborator, Rocket Jackson. We went to high school together, and he's a producer, and was DJing in New York. And I kind of wanted this opera to sort of connect the dots for young people who may not necessarily go to the opera on their own, but like, trying to make music that they understand, and
Hmm.
coming, speaking their musical language. And so different styles like R&B, neo soul, funk, gospel, hip hop are all represented in this opera, but sung, with the classical voice. So just introducing kids to opera in a different way, um, while taking something that's familiar to the older opera crowd that knows Barber. So yeah, we have the workshop. Yeah, and it all sort of, I had a chance to really work on it because of the pandemic. So when everything came at a
Hmm.
standstill, I was able to then, all the things that Rocket and I had been working on, we were able to sort of do, raise money to, essentially do like our own workshop. And then Lyric got a hold of it, because they heard about what I was doing, and they were like, so what is this Factotum show? And we had our demos that we did from 2019, and we sent them in, and we talking about mission statement, the characters, the story.
Hmm.
And they're like, okay, well, let's
Let's
just
do it.
workshop it. Why not? Because of course they had their season canceled, and they were looking for alternative programming.
Hmm.
And the Factotum was one of the things they wanted to do. So um I'm really excited to have this opportunity to workshop it and take its first sort of big step, and seeing how this all sounds with real classical voices. And hopefully it works.
And when is
Yeah.
that? What's the timeline on that?
It'll be the first week of December.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have, and
Coming
it's done
right up.
differently. I know, coming right up. And it'll be a little slightly different because of COVID. We're not going to be able to get everyone in the room, so it's more of just a music workshop where we'll just be like an audio workshop where we'll record it, probably part separately because there's some big ensemble numbers. We'll have to like kind of piece
Yeah.
it together, and then it'll just be a really good informative thing for Rockin' and I as we continue to finish uh, or rewriting things and taking it to that next step. So
And also so cool to, I think all of us have to think about how works of art live now in a digital realm and in the acoustic stage realm, right? So
yeah,
how cool to get to think of that like duality right from the beginning.
yeah, absolutely. And this show, my hope for it is that it can live in both worlds, where you could potentially have like a all music video sort of thing for it,
Hmm.
where it could live on the screen and a live production, on the other side of COVID. Um, so yeah, I'm excited and nervous and all the things for the workshop, and yeah, so it's coming up.
Well, you just had
Yeah.
this incredible recital at the Kennedy Center. You were the
Mm,
recipient of the Marian Anderson Award this past year, and that was kind of
mm,
your laudatory recital. And I listened to some tracks that you had recorded earlier in the summer
mm,
of a new piece called Two Black Churches that
mm,
absolutely floored me. Um,
mm.
would you would you tell us a little bit? I know you did that on that recital. You are such an
Yeah.
incredible promoter of other creators, and I think
Mm,
especially of other Black creators. Can you tell me a little
mm,
bit what it is that draws you to other creators and what makes you choose their works to be
mm,
showcased? Because you have a platform now. You really
mm,
have people tuning in to see what you
mm,
want to do and what you want to put your name behind.
Wow. Oh, yeah. So for the Two Black Churches, what drew me to Sean O'Peblo, he's a Chicago-based composer. In 2014, I did his. He came out with an album of spirituals that he recreated, and I was the baritone solo, or the soloist that he wanted for that album. So I got a chance to work with him for the first time, and I was just really drawn to his writing. Particularly the piano writing, how it all just tells a story and how it all comes together, and it's just so unique the way he approaches his style of writing, and how the vocal line fits with that, and just how that all comes together. I really, when I ran across the poem of Ballad of Birmingham, I immediately contacted Sean, and I wanted to commission him for it because I knew he'd be the right person, the
Mhm.
perfect person to sort of set this very heartbreaking, powerful story, and put it and create it in a way that only he can. And and he had the idea of sort of doing a parallel to the Charleston shooting in 2015, I think. And he commissioned a poet, Marcus a Maker, to write the poem Rain. Um, and I just it warms my heart, and it gives me joy to be able to work with other Black creators who I really admire, and creating something new. I'm really big into, we have so many great and talented composers that are living now, and like we
Mhm.
need to be commissioning them, and creating new works, and things that really speak to us, and are important. And so that's what I'm really a big advocate for. And yeah, it was been like 2 years in the making. I think maybe yeah, 2 years ago I kind of approached him about it, and he wrote it, and um, it had its virtual premiere over the summer, and then we did it for the recital. And yeah, it's such a moving piece, and I'm glad that we were able to do that, and see it come together. And the DC recital was my first time performing Two Black Churches in front of an audience. So
Wow.
yeah, and that was actually my first time singing in front of an audience since
Ugh.
March. It was
Wow.
socially distant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you,
Yeah,
I mean, how do you, especially a piece like that, I don't know how you get
yeah.
through it. It's just,
I barely, yeah. The first few times I sang it, I couldn't get through without crying. Just because, for me, also growing up with like a church background, just even, I mean, if I couldn't get myself, I had to like ride that line of, as a performer where we have to deliver our story, but also have a connection to it so we can emote something. But with that, I had to be really careful because a little
Can
bit too far and
tip
it's
over.
over. Yeah, it could tip over, and then there's no recovering after
No,
that because it's
no.
just so, yeah, it's so deep and so heavy. So it took a few try. I mean, the first few times I sang it, I just was could not get through it.
No.
But yeah, I was so happy to, well, not, just to be able to bring to light, Sean's works and what he's been doing. I mean, not that he needed me, but just to help promote his what he's doing because he's a
Hmm.
fantastic writer. Um, and yeah, and yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Um, Back to a little bit of national council stuff.
Hmm.
Um, do you have any memories or stories you want to share from when you went through that audition process, the district, region, semis, finals?
Oh man. So for my years for MONC, it took me three times. I did it once in Chicago, and I was like maybe 20 or something. I did
Hmm.
Largo and I had no business singing those yet at the time. And I got to the regions. The second year I was in New York, I got to the regionals again and got like third or something. And then finally I did it a third time. And got to the finals. And for me, it's just it's such, I mean, because it's like the MONC, it's like what you hear about the MONC like right as when you're an undergrad student, like about this competition and everything it has to offer. And for me, it was just like I just remember vividly when I got to the semifinals and Gay Letha had like the names, coming down like with the names and the folders of the in the finals. That to this day is one of the most nerve wracking moments. I'm like, seriously, that's like it's up there because we're all like gathered around, and it's just like I don't know, like just the anticipation of that moment to see who's going to get to the final round. I remember like it was yesterday, and to be a part, like to hear my name called was such a joyous thing. To know that I would be able to sing with the Met Orchestra and like be on the Met stage, and just what that meant was a big step for me in my career and in my confidence, um, to do the MONC. And I mentioned losing before because I always tell singers when they don't get it, like keep going because people only may see you as a finalist, but they don't know the times in which you didn't get there before. So it's like
Yep.
sometimes it takes a few years, where a judge might say like, hey, keep going. This is looking good. Just polish this and come back next year. And sometimes it takes multiple try. And of course, you have singers that can do it the first time and get all the way to the finals and win. But everyone has a different path. You can't look at one singer and say, "Oh, I have to do that," or I'm gonna get a failure. We all have our different ways of our path that we take, and we can't look at one or the other. Just so I always tell people, it took me a few tries, and getting to the final round was something that will stay with me forever too. Just walking on that stage for the first, I think my first aria was Dr. Atomic,
Hmm.
Battered My Heart, and that was just like I was just blown away from the orchestra. Like, I almost forgot to come in my. It's just like it's just like so epic, and the world's top players just underneath me for that moment, and just looking out on that stage. And as a young kid, I don't know, it's just like
You're
you don't.
23 years old.
I know, yeah. I just, oh my gosh, I'll never forget. My parents were able to be there too, and it's not often where they're able to come see me perform, but that they were able to be there. And even though I didn't win the whole thing, like I felt like I had won just to be able to have that experience and to be a finalist. I always, you've won the competition. I mean, it's like it's about that exposure. I mean, of course, it's a matter of who gets more money, but you all get that same exposure. You all get a chance to sing with the orchestra, and people well, you get recognized, so
That's
um
amazing.
yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
like I said before, we are so proud to count you among our alumni and
yeah.
could not be more thrilled with everything that you've been doing since you graced our stages in 2012 for MONC. For
Uh,
everyone who wants to keep following what you're doing, where can they follow you? Website, social media, what's up?
Website, social media. My website is willliverman.com, and my Instagram, Willie1525. I have no idea how I came up with that name, but
We'll link
yeah,
to it. It's all good.
yeah, right, yeah. I post a lot of things on there and update people with what I'm doing. So yeah,
Fantastic. Thank you so
yeah,
much for sitting down with us today.
yeah.
You're coming to us from
Thanks so much,
Chicago.
Melissa. Yeah, yep. Chi-town. Yep. hmm
Excellent. And we'll keep up with you and you keep up with us. I know that our
Yep.
MONC singers will love hearing all of this. I think that
Uh,
you're someone
yeah.
that they look up to right now as someone who has a
Oh,
real voice and is using it in a powerful way. So
oh,
thank you
wow.
so
Wow. I
much.
appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.